Welcome to The Explainer. This is where we find some of the world's biggest ideas and, break them down so you can actually use them.
You know that feeling, right? We have all been there. That deep frustration when you're trying to get a raise, or deal with customer service, or heck, even just convince your kids to clean their room. You've got a goal, a very clear one, but you just can't seem to make any headway.
So we try the things we think are supposed to work. We try to use power, but all that does is create resentment. We lay out all the perfect logical reasons, but it's like the other person just doesn't care. We argue the facts until we're blue in the face, and what do we get? A stalemate. It honestly feels like you're just banging your head against a wall.
Well, today, we're going to dig into a completely different way of thinking. It comes from a book that has totally changed how some of the most successful people in the world negotiate, and it turns our standard approach completely on its head.
This radically different approach comes from the work of a guy named Stuart Diamond, who his students have literally called an academic rock star in the world of negotiation. And when you see his track record, you'll understand why.
I mean, just look at this. His negotiations course was the #1 most popular class of Wharton for 2 decades straight. He's a Pulitzer-winning journalist, he's advised world leaders, and he even helped end the massive 2008 Hollywood writers' strike in just a few days. So this isn't just theory, right? This is proven in the real world in some of the toughest situations imaginable.
And that real-world impact is why his students say things like this. They don't just see it as a class. They see it as this fundamental shift in how they interact with the entire world, making their lives easier, more successful, and believe it or not, their relationships stronger. So what is the big secret? Well, the entire framework, the whole thing, rests on one incredibly powerful idea. Stop focusing on your arguments, your logic, and your power. The only thing that truly matters is understanding the picture in the other person's head.
This approach basically redefines negotiation. It's not a battle. It's not a game you have to win. It's a conversation. It's about figuring out what the other person actually values, what they're feeling, and what standards they live by. And when you do that, you start to find these creative solutions that you would have never, ever seen before.
Okay, so let's get into the first secret, making them the most important person in the room. You're about to see how this one single shift changes absolutely everything.
Before you can persuade anyone of anything, you have to do the work to understand them. What are their emotions? What's their situation like right now, today? What are they actually thinking and feeling, not what you assume they're thinking and feeling? That's the key. Think about that Hollywood writers' strike again. It was completely deadlocked. Both sides were angry, losing millions of dollars. Diamond didn't tell the writers to come in with some new, brilliant proposal. Instead, his advice was to start the very next meeting by just asking the studio heads a simple question, "Are you happy?" And of course they weren't. Just focusing on their feelings, on them as people, broke the stalemate and led to a solution in days. Okay, I get it. That's a huge, high-stakes example. But how does this apply when you're just trying to deal with a difficult customer service rep or, talk to your boss?
It's all about simple, human things. It's asking, how's your day going? And actually meaning it. Actually listening to the answer before you make your request. It's acknowledging their point of view by saying something like, wow, it sounds like you're in a really tough spot. You don't have to agree with them to be empathetic, but you do have to show them that you see them as a person first.
Now for the second secret weapon, and let me tell you, this is an incredibly effective technique for anyone who has ever heard that dreaded phrase, "Sorry, that's against our policy." We've all been there. This process is just beautifully simple. You're not arguing, you're using their own rules against them, in a way. So first, you find a standard they've set, a policy, a marketing promise, something they've said before. Then you just calmly point out how what they're doing right now doesn't really line up with that standard. And finally, and this is the best part, you put the ball on their court to solve the problem. Here is a perfect low-stakes example of this in action. A student got cold fries. Now, instead of yelling or making a scene, he found a flyer with McDonald's freshness guarantee on it. He just went back up to the counter and asked, "This is your guarantee, right?" He didn't have to argue. He just held up their own standard. And boom, he got fresh fries immediately. The psychology behind this is so powerful. See, people have this deep-seated need to be consistent. So when you point out that their actions are contradicting their own principles, you're not attacking them.
You're just inviting them to align their behavior with their own values. The pressure to change comes from inside them, not from you. It's brilliant.
All right, let's bring this all together. Because this isn't just interesting theory, right? These are tools you can start using the moment this explainer is over.
Just look at the difference in these approaches. Instead of demanding to see a manager, you use the company's own promise of excellent service. Instead of laying down the law with your kids, you try to understand their perspective first. When you're asking for a raise, you shift from just listing all your accomplishments to focusing on your boss's pressures and how you can help them succeed. It's a fundamental change in how you can approach almost any interaction.
And let's be clear, this isn't just about feeling better. It is about getting better results. Diamond students have actually tracked over $3 billion in value that they've created. Deals won, salaries raised, money saved, all by using this people-first approach. The results are just undeniable.
So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The most effective negotiators, they don't win arguments. They don't overpower their opponents. They connect with them. They understand them. They see persuasion not as a fight, but as the art of solving a problem together.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. In your very next conversation, whether it's with your partner, your boss, or the person at the checkout counter, try to see it differently. It's not a conflict you have to win. It's an opportunity to understand, to connect, and to get more.